Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first Choice Not Chance Health Seminar of 2025. I'm grateful that you decided to be here despite the cold. My phone says it's 16 degrees right now, and it feels like 2 degrees. But I'm grateful that you are here, and why don't we begin? And I'm going to say a word of prayer as we begin. Let me just finish getting set up here. Okay. All right, if you'll pray with me. Father in heaven, thank you so much that we get to spend some time this afternoon learning about something so remarkable that you've made, herbs that help heal, and you've provided them for our wellness. We're just so grateful for this, and we're grateful for the chance to learn. We pray that you'd be here with us and guide this presentation. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, my name is Faith LaSalle, and I am a home herbalist. And for the last few years, I've had the privilege to study under a senior herbalist. And it has been a privilege to study and learn and implement natural remedies for my own health and also learning how to help others with their health. And I am excited to share with you some of the things that I have learned. So in today's presentation, Herbs for Health 101, we're going to take a look at our presentation. Let me see if I can pull that up, that next slide here. We're going to look at a study of herbs and a little over a dozen of them today, including my top favorites. We're also going to review the tips for making a potent tea, an infusion made of these healing herbs, so that you can experience the health benefits from them fully. And then we're going to get to transition from here out to the dining room area, where you'll get to sample these herbs yourself, smell and taste, and make your own loose leaf tea blend from them based on the ones that interest you the most. And we'll do a Q&A out there as well. And on this next slide that I have a bit of encouragement for us, and some might call this a disclaimer. So I'm going to read it out loud. The information presented in this lecture is for educational and informational purposes. Attendees are encouraged to pray for wisdom before making changes to their lifestyle, especially when seeking the quality of life that God designed us to experience. Each one of us are responsible for our health decisions. The information shared is to be used with discretion, especially if one is taking medications. All right, so I have a few goals for this presentation today. And on this next slide, you'll get to see goals 1 through 3, which are this: to familiarize yourself with the herbs that are available, just a few of them, of the many, where to source them, and how to make a medicinal tea using them. And then goal 4 is that you will identify 3 herbs from this presentation that you will take away and implement and have as a part of your own medicine cabinet. There's an herbalist that I've learned a lot from as I've been studying, and his name is Dr. John Christopher. And he has an extensive knowledge of herbs, and he educated many people on how to use them. His success stories are remarkable, and we'll hear just a few of them today. But he once said, every home should have a home herbalist, or an herbalist. Every home should have an herbalist. And I believe that is true, and it is so important. You know, medicine used to be something that we used to know so much more about, how to heal our bodies naturally. And so why don't we dive in right now to some of those types of herbs that were used to help heal the body naturally. These are categorized in accordance of the part of the plant that they're harvested from. And first we have flowers. And it's interesting for me to note when I study flowers, many of them are used for emotional health and mental well-being. And just looking at flowers can bring us joy, can it not? But it's amazing that when we take these, we take in a tea or use flowers for medicinal benefits, they're very calming. And the next one is leaves and stems. Leaves and stems in the warmer months of the year, in late spring and summer, the most medicinal part of the plant will be the leaves and the stems. This is where all the nutrition comes up from the roots and out into the leaves. The leaves are collecting. They're full of chlorophyll and antioxidants, vitamins. For peppermint leaves, you've got all the peppermint essential oils in there, and many other herbs have essential oils in them as well. Barks are the next one, and barks, did you know that bark is the original aspirin on the willow tree? Willow bark contains salicylate. I think that's how I pronounce it. It's a natural precursor to aspirin, making it excellent for pain relief. Barks and barks on trees and shrubs, they contain tannins, resins, all kinds of things that are good for immune health, digestion, and even especially pain relief. And then the last main category that we'll focus on is roots and rhizomes. And in the late fall and winter, these roots are going to be where the most medicinal medicinal benefits are going to be. All of the medicines, all the medicinal compounds have gone down into the roots for the winter. And so that's when roots are harvested. And comfrey is a good example of this. The allantoin in comfrey goes from the leaf down into the roots. And for rhizomes, I'll give you an example of two of those. Ginger and turmeric are rhizomes. And those are underground stem systems that grow horizontally under the ground, and they produce roots and shoots off from their nodes. And there are two that are not listed in detail, but if you can read the small print on that top corner there, the other two categories are seeds and berries. And I'll give you an example of a seed, fennel seed, excellent herb for digestive health when paired with ginger and peppermint. It's a very powerful formula for relieving digestive complaint. And an example of a berry is hawthorn berry, which is excellent for heart health. All right, on this next slide I have here, why use herbs? I have 3 slides that list out the reasons why you would want to use herbs, and I apologize that the font is a little small on these. I'll read through them. There are so many reasons why you would want to use herbs. They cover everything. It's very comprehensive for our health, and most of the healing properties, all of the healing natural properties are things that you're not going to find in the over-the-counter solutions. They're found in the whole plant itself, in the whole herb. And they work with your immune system. So in addition to having healing properties, they're very rich in nutrients. They support the immune system, aid digestion, support healthy inflammation. And I'll pause here to say inflammation it's interesting to study inflammation. A lot of people think that we need to reduce inflammation all the time, like no inflammation is good. But the body actually uses inflammation to help facilitate healing. So you want healthy inflammation, you want a healthy immune response. You don't want to be dealing with chronic inflammation. So we'll discuss that a little bit more as we go. But it aids in digestion. You know, what's wonderful about herbs is when you complete a course of herbs, it doesn't deplete your microbiome the way a course of something else might. And when you are working with your body, you're delivering nutrition, you're helping the body eliminate waste, and that not only supports all of your systems in the body, but it helps detox as well. All right, part 2. For women especially, there is so much in this world right now that can disrupt our hormones. Our balancing hormones is becoming increasingly so much more difficult. And in the words of an ancient Greek physician, we want food to be our medicine, and using herbs is part of that. And whether it's for blood sugar levels, mental clarity, stress relief, energy, herbs, along with key lifestyle changes, can be used to meet all of these needs. And we'll talk about what enhances the effectiveness of these herbs in just a bit, how we can get all of these benefits. And in part 3 of this list, we have everything from heart health to lung health, feeling good in our clothes, feeling good in our skin. There is so much that herbs can do for us. We've got cardiovascular health here, respiratory health, aids in weight management, and enhances your skin and hair health. And my last 2 on this list are my favorites. That herbs are gentle and holistic. Unlike pharmaceuticals, herbs always work with the body without harsh side effects. And they are accessible and affordable. Many of the herbs that I'll be presenting today can be grown in your own backyard. And some of them on the back table that you'll get to see were grown in our backyard. And as routine care becomes a little bit harder to access when we need it, it's interesting just to think about the fact that some of the care that we look to receive from hospitals and from doctors was something that we never used to depend on outside of the home. All right, so which herbs can help with these kinds of things that we want? So the first 3 herbs that I will share with you are herbs for the medicine cabinet, I like to call them. And the first one is lemon balm. Lemon balm has many different names, including Melissa and sweet balm. This herb is in the mint family together with catnip and peppermint. And all of them have a calming effect on the human body. Although for our feline pets, they have a stimulating effect, catnip especially. But for the human body, it's a very soothing effect. This herb is very easy to grow. And just like anything else in the mint family, you want to leave room because it likes a lot of elbow room. Lemon balm likes to spread out, it likes to grow big, and it likes to spread. But this herb can help relieve the symptoms of stress. And then next to it is peppermint. And this is an incredible herb. And the uses for this herb are so vast. It's famous for being a digestive aid. And I mentioned earlier fennel and ginger and peppermint as a formula that can help with digestive complaints. And this is a formula that can stop what do you call it? It is food poisoning. Can stop it in its tracks. But you want to make it potent. And the next one, in addition to peppermint, we have horsetail here. Horsetail is an herb that is very high in silica. And the silica content in horsetail supports bone strength and bone density. And in addition, it's also a natural diuretic. So if you're taking a natural diuretic, you might consider, or if you're needing a natural diuretic, you might consider horsetail. The mineral content, especially the silica in horsetail, is used to strengthen hair and nails. And in addition, it's also been used to stop bleeding, heal ulcers and wounds, treat tuberculosis and kidney problems. This herb has a long history of uses. And I'll share in a little bit about the books that you can learn about how to use these herbs and more stories of how they have been used. But I like to use horsetail at least once a week. I take it in a formula called the calcium formula, and it's mixed with a couple other herbs, and I like to use that at least once a week to provide my body with the nutrients that my bones need. It's a great way to take in calcium. All right, next, more herbs for the medicine cabinet. We have licorice root, which is an herb with amazing flavor. I absolutely love licorice root, but I have to tell you, when I was growing up as a kid, I didn't like black licorice. I could barely stand the red one. But when I tried licorice root, I said, oh, I like this. This tea is good. It's naturally a little sweet. And licorice root, along with marshmallow root, is an adaptogenic herb. And when you think of the word adaptogen, just think of adapt. It helps the body address and balance different things. So it may need to, provide work in different ways. And it's amazing that herbs can do that. They can function according to what's needed. So it's important to note here, people who are on medication, high blood pressure, and if you have electrolyte imbalances, herbs will actually interact with the drug. Well, it's important to phrase this right. Herbs will work holistically to help heal, and the drugs that are taken for blood pressures can actually have negative effects of their own, which the herb will then be working to heal. So it will actually, it'll try to stop the effect of the drug. So they can balance each other out sometimes. So really my favorite thing to do is to take the natural stuff, because then I don't have to worry about any downsides and negative effects. Let's see here. So licorice root, for people who are dealing with chronic stress, adrenal fatigue, burnout, mood swings, anxiety, brain fog, immune suppression, stress-related immune suppression, and metabolic imbalances due to chronic stress, licorice root is a very good herb to consider taking. And then the next one is marigold. And we did grow marigold this last year in our garden. It was so fun to see it growing. I love this herb. It is so gentle, but it has a cleansing effect. And so a couple years ago, I had a family member who had a very large sty under their eye. It was infected. It was very uncomfortable. And there's so many things today that say, don't use this near your eyes. But that's not the case with marigold. Marigold is incredibly gentle and perfectly fine to use around your eyes. And so I made a tea out of marigold, and I actually kept the tea bag in the tea for a while. I made it very strong and potent, so there was only a little bit of water in this cup with this tea bag. And then I would have my family member place this tea bag on their eye, and they did this a couple times, and they already started to see benefit from it. And then I think within just a couple days, it was gone. We had to use it quite a few times. She had to be consistent with it. But it was the fastest she had ever seen a sty go away. So it was very exciting to be able to help her with that and to see the benefits. And then the last one on this list here is stevia, which is naturally sweet. And this herb is just a delight. You do not need sugar in your tea when you use stevia. In fact, you can only use a little bit of stevia, and it can feel like it's too sweet. It can seem like it's too sweet. So a little goes a long ways. And in addition to being a natural way to sweeten things, God knew that we would like that. He also gave this herb some healing benefits. It has a natural way of lowering blood pressure. But only when using the whole leaf form. You have to use the whole leaf, crushed or powdered, but anything other than the leaf isn't worth taking. And then a few more, and these are the herbs, by the way, that we'll get to sample out there at the end of this presentation, is orange peel. And today I reached out to a friend of mine because she had experienced something quite remarkable with orange peel, and I wanted to share about it with you today. Her son, so my friend used to live in Southern California, her and her husband and their children, and her firstborn son was born with a lot of health issues, and they have had quite a journey helping him be able to function with a normal, healthy childhood. But I praise God because he is getting to experience that through following the laws of health through a very simple diet and through the use of herbs. And one of the things that she does for his asthma, he has severe asthma. And when there was a summer where it got especially bad, And he was not able to go outside and play with friends. He wasn't able to do much physical activity. He would go outside and he would start to have trouble breathing. And so she reached out to a very experienced, knowledgeable medical missionary, and this lady recommended orange peel powder in his smoothies. She knew that he was doing smoothies, fruit smoothies in the morning. She said, add a tablespoon of this powder. And so my friend did. And it was amazing. His response, his body's response to the orange peel. He was able to go outside. He was able to run and play. He would still begin to get signs that he was going to get a little bit asthmatic. And so they had to monitor him a little bit, but he was able to experience normal life again just from orange peel. I thought that it was amazing, and she wanted me to add this. She said, since we've been taking it, every day we don't get sick anymore. It's been about a year since we've gotten a cold. And I thought that that was remarkable. So definitely some amazing vitamin C benefits as well. And then rose petals, I mentioned earlier that the flower parts of a plant are very beneficial for helping us, our minds, our emotional well-being. And rose petals are included in that. And I also included them for their color. It's nice to see something with that bright color. So we have a few more herbs that we're going to go through here. And the next one I actually want you to name for me, or see if you can. We'll pull it up on the screen and then see if somebody can identify what that is. Close? No? It's in that family. I haven't heard it yet. Somebody knows. All right, it's burdock root. And so it's in that family. When I first learned about this herb, this was actually the first herb that I ever had much interaction with. Before this herb, I didn't really know about herbs, didn't really use them. I knew about stevia, but that was it. So this herb, the root especially, I believe that the leaves are edible actually, but the root is, when it's dried and made into a tea, it is a powerful blood cleanser. And I learned about this root because several years ago, back in 2021, I had been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. At that point, I'd had it for a couple years, and I was insistent. I didn't want to be on medication. I wanted to be able to heal my body naturally. So when I learned about this herb, I bought a whole pound of it, the dried root, and I learned how to prepare it the way that was recommended, which is, we'll talk about that a little bit in a bit. Recently, I had the privilege of getting some extensive blood work done. I traveled and got to take care of some health things. And in the blood work, they looked at the shape of my blood cells. They looked to see if my blood was cloudy or if it was clear. And in order to have optimal health in your body, you need to have healthy blood. Your health begins with the health of your blood. Healthy blood is formed from what we eat. And when we eat junk or we have stress and we can't digest our foods properly, we're not going to be able to convert that nutrition into good blood. Our blood won't be shaped right, it will be cloudy, and it won't be able to deliver oxygen to our tissues. It won't be able to help deliver nutrients and remove wastes. And so in order to have good health, we need good blood. So I could say so much more on this topic, but good health cannot be obtained from herbs alone, and that is important to note that there are lifestyle choices as well that really play a role. You know, they said I had some work to do still. I'll tell you more about that. All right, so we're going to name another leaf now, another herb. Yes. I know it has been summer. Yes.
Drinking grape juice, does that purify our blood?
Yes, it does. Powerful blood purifier. Yes. Definitely. And one tip when doing any kind of juicing is you want to chew your juice so that your body can absorb it better. So I love red raspberry leaf. This is the number one herb for women's health. This herb is, I love to harvest this herb. We have red raspberry plants that grow in our backyard, and I know it's been a summer when I've gotten to go out and harvest some leaves and dry them. It's one of my favorite summertime activities. And if I had to select just a couple of herbs to work with, this herb would be one of them. God gave us so many herbs to use, but let's take a look at more about red raspberry. We'll go to the next list. All right, so I'm going to be covering 4 herbs, and the first one in Faith's top 4 is red raspberry leaf. Number 1 herb for women's health. It's incredible for bringing hormones into right levels. Girls never have to turn to NSAIDs for menstrual relief. That pain is completely knocked out by a cup of strong red raspberry leaf tea, or even just taking the capsules. When I'm on the go, I will take the capsules, but I love being able to have the tea. And this herb is used as a uterine tonic. It's very, very helpful for just an all over. I mean, you could consider it what's the word when you have it's one a day? What is that? A daily vitamin, but they call it a multivitamin. So like your number 1 multivitamin for men or women. For women, it would be red raspberry leaf. It contains everything you need. All right, we're looking at one more leaf here. The next one is, say it loud. There we are. Mullein leaf. This leaf is quite underrated. This is a potent leaf, and it's gentle and it's effective. And I love having this on hand. I want to always have this leaf on hand. It's very soft to the feel. It feels very fluffy when it's dried. Mullein acts as an expectorant. It can help thin the mucus in your lungs. So when you are sick and you have an upper respiratory condition or issue, mullein is very beneficial for helping you expel the toxins that are in your lungs, helping your coughs and something like bronchitis to ease the pain of the coughing. So it's soothing as well. And it contains, I want to be able to say this right, saponins and flavonoids. So they can help, these 2 things help soothe an irritated pathway, respiratory pathway, I should say. And it has many other uses, and I have 4 books here. I'm excited to share them with you. But I would encourage you to study a little bit more about this herb. All right, we can go to the next slide. And so we've talked about mullein, so we can go to the next one. I'll have you name now. What is that? Begins with a C. And it is comfrey. So comfrey has some neat history to it. It was used in the Civil War. They would take and wrap comfrey poultices around wounds and broken bones, and it would help soldiers heal. And that is how it earned the nickname of knit bone. Recently, along with getting blood work done, I also had a sonogram on my shoulders and learned that I have torn tendons in my shoulders. This happened 6 years ago when I was playing tennis, and I was practicing my backhand, and my dad said, "Oh, you got to watch that. Be careful." Well, I should have listened quicker. So I have an old injury that I've just learned about, and guess what I'm going to be using to treat it is comfrey. And it'll take a little bit of time to heal. Old injuries do. The more recent an injury, the easier it is to heal quickly. But it will still heal. And I am excited to have comfrey in my top 4. And I have a few more stories that will illustrate why I'm excited to use it and why I'm confident about it, but we'll come to those in a minute, because the next herb I want you to name is that bright red one there on the screen. Hey, a lot of people know this one. Another one that is easy to grow, easy to store, and very, very helpful to have on hand. Now, real quick, I want to cover a little bit of a misconception that people have about cayenne. Some people say that it is an irritant, and that is only the case when cayenne is heated. An example of this is black pepper. When cayenne is heated to extraordinary heat, anytime you put it in the oven and bake it for a while, broil it for a long time, but black pepper is especially true of this as well, it can cause inflammation in the body. So instead of being medicinal, it has an irritating effect. Some people are told to take black pepper in order to absorb turmeric better. And that's true. It can cause those cuts that help your bloodstream absorb it. But there's something better that we can use so that you can avoid the downsides of black pepper, and that is to use something like coconut. The fat in coconut can help absorb, slow the digestion of turmeric so that your body can absorb more of it. But naturally dried cayenne, when it's taken in tincture form or sprinkled on your food, is a modulating herb. And a modulating herb it's remarkable what herbs can do. So when you cut your whatever, my mom was working in a deli when she was young, and she cut her finger on the meat slicer. And the owner of the deli came over to her and really quickly packed her finger with cayenne pepper. And you want to bet that hurt? It did. But the next day she says she could tap the counter with it and it didn't hurt. It had healed overnight. It had facilitated quicker healing. And it had created a scab. So it can help knit and bring things together, or it can help, like in the case of a heart attack, it can help to make sure that you have blood flow to your brain and to your heart, and can save you from a heart attack. So you don't need a high index cayenne pepper in order to get these benefits. Some peppers are really, really hot. Ghost peppers, Carolina Reapers. You don't need necessarily a hot pepper when it comes to being able to experience these benefits. And in addition to heart health, it can also help your digestive health as well. Cayenne can. Now, ultimately, we should not have to depend on anything, not drugs, not even herbs. God's method of healing is to use herbs, but once we're healed, we shouldn't have to depend on anything, right? So the next slide has a quote on it that I want to read to you. There's a very wise woman who once wrote this: "The Lord has given some simple herbs of the field that at times are beneficial. And if every family were educated in how to use these herbs in cases of sickness, much suffering might be prevented, and no doctor need be called. These old-fashioned simple herbs, intelligently used, would have recovered many sick who have died under drug medication." And I can say the longer I live, the more I see this is true. There are many times that drug medication has not only provided no benefit, but has actually very severely harmed individuals. But I'm grateful for herbs because they do not have those same harsh effects. So I want to share now a few success stories. I mentioned Dr. John Christopher, the herbalist, that I have been studying his materials, his books. And he shared a personal experience involving his 16-year-old son. His son had fractured his foot while skateboarding. And they opted out of a cast, and they chose instead to soak the foot in comfrey tea, and then they applied it's called BF&C. That's a formula. It includes gravel root and marshmallow root and a whole bunch of different things. So they applied a fomentation, and then he took capsules with this formula. And within a week, his son was able to walk and even engage in activities like hiking. Now, if you think that's amazing and maybe a little bit unbelievable, I have another story I'm going to share in just a bit, but another one from Dr. Christopher deals with a middle-aged woman. We'll refer to her as Sandy. And Sandy was diagnosed with advanced cancer, and she was sent home with no hope for recovery. But she sought an alternative. She consulted with Dr. Christopher, and he recommended his red clover combination. It's a blend of herbs known for their blood cleansing properties. We talked about a blood cleansing herb just a moment ago. And after adhering to his regimen, Sandy returned to her doctor, who confirmed that her cancer had completely disappeared. These are real stories. I have the sources up on the screen where you can read them online. But the next story I have is also remarkable and closer to home. But for the sake of those who have squeamish stomachs, the photos of this story are on Randall's phone. And if you want to ask him later to see the proof, you can. But for the sake of the slideshow, I thought I would leave them out. In October of 2021, while running in a field, Tannery cut the back of her hoof on a rock so badly, and it was bleeding so badly, that when Randall consulted with 2 vets, they said that things weren't looking good for Tannery, that she may have to be put down. And so Randall decided to try comfrey. So he gave his horse something natural for the pain. He disinfected the area, and then he wrapped the foot in a fomentation he made using comfrey leaf and comfrey root, so 2 different parts of the plant. So it was very potent, and in just a couple hours even, the change in his horse's hoof was significant. Let's see. I'll find my notes here. So in just a couple days, Tannery's hoof had gone from being cut open and bleeding terribly to now it was forming new skin. It was actually filling in the skin that had been torn off, and everything was regrowing. And you could see that there was healing happening in that area. And by a week, this horse was essentially back to normal, and the horse farrier was amazed. But I have to tell you, I think there's a reason why this horse healed so quickly, and there are principles that are actually important for us to apply, and I'll talk about them here on the next slide. There's things that we can learn from Tannery. Tannery had a very simple plant-based diet, did she not? She was eating hay and oats, but very, very simple and plant-based. And when we're healing, our body needs the same. The more ingredients we eat, even in something simple as soup, if you have tons of different ingredients, your body has to digest all of those differently. But it's so much better to eat simple when we're trying to heal. That's why fruit is so good and very filling as well. Tannery consistently got high quality and a sufficient quantity of herbs for healing. What Randall did, what he made for her injury was very potent. And also trust in God. And of course, it was the owner's trust in God. But truly, I believe that that is important. Let's see, I have a few notes here I wanted to share. We cannot, I'm going to go back to consistency real quick. We can't give up after trying something for 2 or 3 times, or even 7 days worth of, being consistent. Comfrey can heal complicated things. It can heal broken bones. It can heal bulging spine discs, but the body needs time to heal. And so we have to be patient. And we also need high quality. And when I mentioned trust in God, 1 Samuel 2:30 says this: "Them that honor me will I honor." And when we trust in God and in his methods, and we say, I'm going to follow this because this is what God says is best, God will honor us for that. And when we follow his methods of healing, we have to trust and bless because he is our sustainer and the source of life. There are a few more things that I think added to the success of this, and Tannery did follow these things, and we can as well. Getting good nutrition, getting plenty of exercise, drinking pure, clean water, and plenty of it, getting time outside in sunlight, breathing fresh air whenever possible, getting adequate rest for your body, temperance, avoiding the things that are unhealthy and eating the good things in moderation. And then absolutely, trusting God, cultivating a life of trust in God's guidance. And there's a beautiful hymn that says, I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free, for his eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I wanted to share a few stats real quick to give some perspective because I believe herbs are making a comeback, and I'm excited about that. But for the rest of the world, it's a no-brainer. On this next slide here, you'll see two statistics. 74% of U.S. adults use dietary supplements, with 35% regularly using herbal supplements. That's a statistic from 2023. And 80% of people worldwide rely on herbal medicine, medicinal products, and supplements for some part of primary health care. You know, it's only in recent years in American history that we have allowed ourselves to become so disconnected from the natural. And I think it's because of convenience, a desire of convenience, and really heavy marketing. Think of how many times you've seen an ad on TV for a medication compared to how many times you've been told, hey, this herb worked for me. And you think about the difference in that. Marketing is quite something. All right, so I wanted to share with you where you can source high potent quality herbs. The first one that I should have put on this list is your own backyard, because that's really the best place. And increasingly, that's going to be the most important, because there were supply chain issues recently, and I don't think that that's going to be an uncommon thing. If you want to save money, Monterey-based Spice Company has very good prices, but the shipping is kind of steep because they're all the way on the other side of the country here. But excellent place to buy herbs. Star West Botanicals can be bought in many places now, Amazon included, and I trust their quality. And I trust the quality of Mountain Rose herbs. They can be a little bit more pricey, but they are good herbs to use. And then how many of you have been to a local Amish shop anywhere near? I see a hand. I see another couple hands. Excellent. The local Amish have stores. They have tinctures that they sell. It's a really good place to find herbs as well. And if you do really good research, you can find what you need on Etsy. So I wanted to also go through now how to take these herbs and how to make a tea using them. So the first thing we'll consider is water temperature. Boiling water is best for material, the thicker, more fibrous plant materials, anything that's tough. Roots, barks, seeds. You need higher heat to be able to extract the medicinal benefit. And then what you don't want to use boiling water for are things like leaves and flowers and delicate herbs. You can bring it up to almost boiling. You can make it pretty warm. But you don't want to, especially for flowers and delicate herbs, peppermint. You should never put boiling water on your peppermint tea because it'll actually scald the oils that are in those leaves. And the next slide, we're going to talk about steeping time. The longer, the better. That's the short of it. Delicate herbs, you can steep for 20 minutes. And then for things like burdock root, we talked about burdock root a little bit ago. What I would do when I was taking burdock root is I would take quite a bit of the herb, like a fourth a cup or more, and I would simmer it. I would bring it up to a boil, and then I would bring it down to a simmer for 3 hours. And after that, I would let it cool till it was drinkable, and I would drink it. And I tried to make that every single day. So it was quite a lot of simmering going on, but it was very potent, and I saw results quickly by doing that. And so I had mentioned portion. We'll talk a little bit about portion size. I like to use a lot of herbs. I don't like to use a little bit because I like to see more benefit quickly. Some people have asked my husband and I, if any amount is too much, and it just really depends on, I guess, your taste buds. But it's like asking, if, how quickly do you want to take in the nutrients, basically, if you want to experience it quickly. And we'll go to the next slide. You'll take more of the herb that you need. So a good ratio is about 1 to 2 tablespoons of dried herb to 8 ounces of water. And for a more medicinal infusion, of course, just increase that. And then make sure that it is a comfortable temperature for drinking. One thing I'll mention here, and this isn't quite related to the topic, but it is important. It's very important not to drink scalding hot liquids. And also it's important to not drink ice cold liquids either. And the reason for that is our body's temperature is, what do you run around? About 98.6, 90. Some people run a little bit cooler, a little bit warmer. But if what you're drinking has just recently been boiling and you're trying to sip it down, think of the tissue damage that's actually doing in your throat. It can actually lead to esophageal cancer. And so drinking really, really hot liquids, we want to avoid, and drinking really, really cold ones, our body has to work harder to heat them up. Okay, I'm very excited for this next slide. We're almost ready to make our own loose leaf tea blend, but before we do, I have a few books here that I wanted to share. The first one, and I'll share them in order of how easy they are to hold. The first one we actually have a copy of for everyone today. If you've never read this book, I love the audio version, and you can find that online for free, but this is the print version that it's handy to have the information in this book. It goes through the laws of health. There's some beautiful stories in it, and this is called The Ministry of Healing. So I highly recommend that book. The next one I have is called Back to Eden, and the stories in this book are really interesting. And there are a lot of formulas. It gives really practical information, way more than we were able to go into today. So if you want something really, really handy, Back to Eden is a good one to have on the shelf. And they're getting a little bit harder to hold here, but this is the Herb Syllabus. And this book is so interesting. The stories in this book from Dr. Christopher, just so we have them there, but I'll also read it again. This is the Herb Syllabus by Dr. John Christopher. Excellent book for learning more specifically about herbs. And then the last one, this book, the Natural Remedies Encyclopedia. I can't lift it all the way, but here you go, a very colorful, very large book. This book is the reason that I didn't have to go to the ER when I was a child. I would get frequent ear infections. And my mom used the remedies that were listed in this book, and I never had to go to the ER. It was very nice, very soothing, and very effective. So these are just a couple of the resources that I'd encourage you to check out these books. They are excellent. And now on this next slide, just real quick to make the announcement. So now we're going to transition out to the dining room area. I'll invite you to we have a whole lineup of herbs, and I welcome you to take as much as you would like. The hope is that they'll all be gone by the time this is gone. This is done. We have tea that we have made using quite a few of the herbs, and if you're curious about what's in the tea, I can go through the list. But get some tea, grab some herbs, and then we're going to do our Q&A session out there. So if you have any questions, please be thinking of those. My husband's going to help me with that portion. And with that, we'll transition out to the dining room.